All right, I know it sounds good, but you know. Chapter 4, 4.1 and 4.2. Did I hit record? Yes. I did? I'll make sure. I'm sorry. I'd hate not to. Yep. Okay. This section should be pretty simple for you. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do some things with the Excel spreadsheet, and hopefully you can translate it to that thing y'all use. All right. But basically, it's all about slope. Now, talking about correlation, slope, as well as causality. And a lot of you don't know what that means. I don't know if you know what it means or not. But you drink too much beer, you have to pee. That's causality. You drink too much water, you have to pee. You decide to get a large vehicle, what's going to go down? Your gas mileage. Okay? Causality. Cause and what? Cause and effect. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on chapter 4. And I'm not going to go through all that, but that's the objectives. Objectives is a bureaucratic word. What we're going to do. Okay? Scatter diagram. We're going to be working with the scatter diagram in this section. There's two sections, 4.1 and 4.2. We're going to be working with those, and of course that means a trend line / line of regression, and then you're going to find the slope of that line. Now I'm going to ask that you do it by hand, and you do it on your technology, which is the spreadsheet or the calculator. Now, you don't have to write down the definition of a scatter diagram. It's a scatter plot. It's just a graph with dots, and you try to find a pattern. And I'm not going to ask you to write all those down. This is an example. This is depth, which drilling begins, and time to drill 5 feet, and then there's a scatter plot. Now, there's 3 things that you need to be able to see in a scatter plot. Whether the slope is up, whether the slope is down, or whether it's constant. Now, which way do we read? Left to right. So this one is a slope going what? Up. So if I was to draw a line that kind of best fits this data, it would be something like that, which is a line going up. That's a positive slope. Write this down. Slope and correlation have a relationship. Slope and correlation has a relationship. What is that relationship? Positive slope, positive correlation. Negative slope, negative correlation. Zero slope, zero correlation. Capiche? Although correlation only goes from -1 to +1, where slope can be any number. So make sure you can tell if it's negative slope, positive slope, or zero slope. And again, I'm not going to spend one day on this section and one day on 4.2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cover the hot spots in 4.1 and 4.2 today, which is correlation, causality, slope, finding slope by hand, finding slope on your technology, and what is correlation, what is causality. Because correlation does not mean causality, but causality means correlation. And we'll write that down in a minute, if you understand what causality is. Okay. I'm trying to get it to, there we go. Now you don't have to write these down. You can just make a couple of dots and then draw a line instead of, but I do want you to write them down, because you got your positive slope, you got your negative slope, you got your nonlinear slope, You got your nonlinear, let's just say it. That's going to be a quadratic slope, or a quadratic. That's going to be a odd exponent, and then zero correlation, which is zero slope. So you can make a note of those. You can draw them real quick. They're not. Why would you need that? This is a standardized test question. You could have one of these graphs on a test and they ask, what is this? And you would say negative correlation, positive correlation, and all that good stuff. Okay? Again, I think it's important to cover 4.1 and 4.2 together, so therefore you can go home and work on the homework and send me questions. If I don't get any questions, then what do? I move on to chapter 5. If I get questions, and I know I need to spend time more on it, okay? And this is the easy stuff. This is the stuff that's real easy. Again, if you know how to find slope, you should be okay. The only thing that people have problems with is the causality correlation thing, and that's all. Okay? Forget that. We're not doing that. We're doing that, okay? Correlation -1 to +1. I've already covered that. And it'll make more sense. Okay, here's a strict positive correlation. Now, you don't have to write these down. You can, if you want to sketch them, but you don't have to write like 10 dots. Just draw a straight line, that's positive. Then you can just draw some, If you see, what are you looking for? You're looking for a pattern, okay? You're looking for, the line of regression here is pretty easy to draw. Why? You connect what? You connect the dots. Here, you would draw it like that. Here, you would draw it like that. And that's all three of those are positive what? Correlations. This one is -1. I meant +1. This one is around 0.9. This one is around 0.4. Why? It gets a little shallower. The pattern is not as recognizable. The regression line is not as easy to put in here. The easier the regression line is to fit, the higher the R value. Okay? Same thing with negative. I can just put these dot to dot. I can put these somewhat dot to dot. And then here, I would draw it something like that. And then here, you don't have any, that's 0, okay? Because you don't have any, there's no pattern. And this is non-what? Non-linear. Now, when we get into Excel, I'm going to show you the different things you can use. Why? So you will know for later. Because, like you said, you're taking 130 next semester. We're going to be using a lot of that in 130 because in 130, the business calculus, you need to be able to ascertain a pattern in a scatter plot. And we use that a lot in 130. It's a good class to take. Anybody who wants to. 130. Good. All right, next. So I'm not going to go through that, but that's pretty much a standard plot. A positive correlation. And when I go through a couple of problems, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through this. And if you get a homework problem that asks you for this, just ignore it and keep going. Because, like I said, I'm going to ask you for several things. I'm going to ask you for correlation, causality, slope, slope by hand, slope with the technology, and then the R value. The R value is given on your calculator as well as the Excel spreadsheet. So 4.1 and 4.2 should be two of the easiest sections that you go through. Okay? Don't even look at this. I'm not even, you talking about tedious, this is very tedious. And I just tell students there's no use in doing it. And that R value is pretty high, it's 0.8, so that means you got a pretty good distinction. You got a pretty good slope. Okay, these slides are pretty much useless. Yeah, they're pretty useless. Okay, I'm going to go to, okay, here is a negative slope. Looks, well, I can't draw with a mouse, but anyway, that's negative slope, negative correlation. Okay, here is where, okay, I want you to write this down because I want you to remember how to calculate the slope. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Why? Because y'all are all in what? High school, right? Most of y'all are in high school. You should remember how to do this. You've had Algebra 1 and 2 like in the last year or two. You should remember how to do this, okay? So I'm not gonna go over this. I'm gonna go over it slightly, but I'm not gonna spend a whole day on finding the slope. All right. I will put the formulas. The formula for slope here is point slope equation. Hold on. Well, there we go. This right here is the point slope equation. It's used when you have a point and a what? A slope. Okay? So if you have a point and a slope, you use that formula. The formula for slope, M is equal to delta y over delta x, which is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Change in y over the change in x. Which way do we read? So this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1, this is x sub 2, this is y sub 2. Plug and what? Plug and chug. I've got a negative 0.95 correlation. That means there's a pretty distinct pattern if you plotted these points. Now I'm going to find the equation for that line. This is the slope. I take the slope at a point. Which one am I going to pick? Probably the 5.7. Why would I pick the 5.7? You could pick either point. Why would I pick the 5.7? KISS method. What's the KISS method? Keep it what? Keep it simple. You don't want to pick 101 and 107. You want to pick the smaller numbers. And when you do the algebra, you come out with negative 0.95x plus 7.6. Now, if you do one of these homework problems and you send me the question, then I'll do it. Okay? I'm not going to go through it because I don't want to insult your intelligence. You're all in high school. You should be able to do this. And if not, send me the question and I'll go over it. If I don't get any questions, then I assume everybody what? Knows it. I'm not going to be like the other teacher and spend a whole class period going over this. I'm bringing that up not to make fun of the other teacher, but just to let you know that if you could have it a whole lot worse in here. Now, this is a good, let's say that you work in a movie theater, all right? And let's say, and I'm just going to, let me go to a whiteboard here because I want to get off here right quick. I want to, give me a second. Okay. Let's say you work at a movie theater and you decide that you want to see the ticket prices for a certain movie. Let's go with Nicolas Cage. okay? His movie, let's say Con Air. And I'm picking one that's a little bit old because hopefully if I pick one that's old, y'all have seen it before. And the ticket prices go something like this. Okay? So there's a correlation, right? Everybody with me? Let's say that you go to, and you say, well, let's go see about suicide rates in Anderson County. And you go to the hospital and you ask the lady for suicide rates, and it looks like that. And this is suicide rates over the last month. So, in Anderson County, Nicolas Cage movies make you commit suicide. Right? No. Well, yes, yeah, you probably could say yes. I agree with you there. Anyway, there's correlation, but let's write this down because this is very important that you understand this. And like I say, I don't know how many of you invented statistics, but I think I need to tell some of y'all that correlation, is it 2 L's? I don't know. Is it 1?
Yeah.
Correlation does not equal what?
Causation.
Causality. Okay? Correlation does not equal causality. And remember the Nicolas Cage scenario I just gave you. Just because you can put 2 pieces of math together does not mean that one causes the other. Capiche? Correlation does not mean causality. But causality always renders what? Causality always renders correlation. What do you mean, Hubert? Let's use the example for vehicles. If you drive a go-kart, meaning one of those cars that look like a go-kart with plastic around it, what's those cars called? There's only room for 2 in it. Is that what, a bumper car? I don't know what they're called. They're called for commuters. You know what I'm saying? They got 2 little.
Like a smart car?
I guess. I don't know. It's got 2 seats in it and a steering wheel. Okay? There's one character around Anderson that drives one. All right? I've seen one around Anderson. You know.
They look like a little playground.
Yeah, they do. No matter where podunk you live, there's always going to be one person that gets something that's, Anyway, you get one of those cars, and the gas mileage on a go-kart, on a motorcycle is what? Very high, because it don't have much what? Weight. So, if I give you a chart, gas mileage, I'm going to say, let's see, the gas mileage is right here. Because you can't have transportation if you don't have what? Gas. Shut up, Hubert. Shut up. Okay? And this is weight of car, GHT. As the weight increases, what does the gas mileage do? Decreases. Now, think of it like this. When I was in the Marine Corps, you had to for basic training, you had to hump 5 miles with a 75-pound pack. Okay? Now, if you lessen that pack, if you take some out of that pack, you're able to what? Go more. Okay? Think of it like that. Causality, there's always correlation, whether it's negative correlation or whether it's what? Positive correlation. But this does not mean this. Okay, make sure you write that down. It's very important because no matter if you're taking a standardized test or if you're taking my test, you have to understand that. Okay, because most of y'all can find the slope of a line And I'm going to show you how to find the correlation. I'm going to show you how to find that. Okay? Question on that. So, I've covered causality, I've covered correlation, I've covered slope, and I've covered point slope equation and, the R factor. Now let's see what happens when you actually do it. Okay? So I'm going to put some points in the Excel spreadsheet. Let me get out of here. And I want you to write them down. I have no idea what they're going to look like because I tell you what. Let me go and pull up one out of your homework. Give me a second. It takes me a second. Homework. There we go. .1. All right, that's a test question. Anything having to do with correlation, that's a test question. Those are test questions. Anything having to do with picking out a line of regression, I'm trying to find a question. Okay, what do they want here? Okay, I don't care what they want. All right, this is how most of your test questions out of 4.1 and 4.2 will look like. You're given data, right? Okay, I'm going to blow it up. I want you to write this down, even though it's decimals. I want you to write it down. So I'm going, all right, no hiccuping in class. Leave your martinis at home. There you go. No martinis in class. Yeah, no martinis. Martinis make you hiccup. See, Alcoholics Anonymous is 8 o'clock on Tuesday. So. All right, write them down. I want you to plot them. Use your calculator or use your Excel, whatever you call that thing, Google Sheets. Can you use Google Sheets to do a graph? Will they let you do a graph? Yeah. Good. You're such a disappointment. Yeah, heaven forbid y'all do something in the real world. Y'all got to be coached for class for a test. My son's already got in trouble 2 or 3 times. I shouldn't say things like that. My son used Russia the other day. He got in trouble. I said, "Well, you shouldn't say things that I say. Do as I say, not as I do." Go ahead and see if you can find the slope. Well, I don't know if it's a straight line. Let me see if it's a straight line first. Now, for those of you that have Google Sheets, after you punch in the numbers, highlight the numbers like this. Highlight the numbers, and then you should be able to hit Insert, and then do a scatter plot. Okay, it is not a straight line. But I want you to take the first point and the last point, and I want you to find the slope and the equation of the line. Okay, the first point is these 27, 17, and let's see, no, that's 17.5, the highest point. I'm going to mark them for you. So this one is 24. What is this, 26 and 17? Where's 26 and 17? Is that it right there? Yeah. All right, that point, I want you to use that point. And I want you to use 27.75. Where's 27.7?
I think it's 25.25.
Okay. Where's 25.25?
One under it.
Okay, thank you. You still don't fail. Just forget it.
What? You messed it up.
Yeah, you messed me up, so you're going to fail now.
I didn't mess you up.
No, forget it. 27 point. Now I don't know what to do. So, all right, there's your 2 points. Nothing. All right, find the slope and the line between those 2 points. So, M is equal to delta y over delta x, which is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Great place for a desk. Okay. So, why don't we just put it in the middle right here? All right, so this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1, this is x sub 2, this is y sub 2. So 17.5 minus what? 17 over 27.75 minus 25.25. Now, what is 17 and a half minus 17?
45.
And what is $27.75 minus $25.25?
$2.50.
You're supposed to have to use a calculator for that. Okay? And somebody give me a decimal for this.
It's 0.2.
So M is equal to 0.2 if that calculation was done correctly. Can somebody verify? I always ask for 2 people. Good. Okay? Now I'm going to pick the first point because it's got a whole number, 17. I'm going to pick that point. So y minus 17 is equal to 0.2 times x minus 25.25. Y minus 17 is equal to 0.2x minus, what is, well, 10%. 10% is 2252, so that'd be 4504. Somebody see this 5.04. What is 0.2 times 25?
5.05.
5.05, I'm sorry. I was 100 off. Y is equal to 0.2x, and minus 5 plus 17 is 11.95. What is it?
22.05.
Okay. I'm sorry. No, negative 5.
That was right.
What did I say? 11.95?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I just did this. I just connected the 2 points. Does that mean it's right? No. I'm just trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm trying to show you how to find the slope and the equation by hand, and then I'm going to show you how to do it with your technology. So, if you've got well, I don't know if Google Sheets will do this.
It doesn't do anything.
Okay, it doesn't do anything.
Well, I mean,
That's great.
no, it put
Click
things
on-
for me.
Click on one point, like that. Does it click on your points like that?
Yeah.
Right click on it. Go to Trendline. Add Trendline. See if it'll do it. You're kidding. It won't do it? Let me move this out of the way.
I feel like it would do it. I just don't know.
It won't?
Okay, let me look it up.
Well, it should do this. Okay? And linear, and go down here. If it doesn't, then don't worry about it. I'll show you how to do it on a calculator. Let me go down and hit display. Are y'all watching? Display equation and display r squared. I'm going to make this bigger for you. Now, why is mine off? Why is my by hand, why is it a little bit off the answer? Because when we did it by hand, we didn't have exactly what? We didn't have it exact, okay? Because we don't know where the best fit is. Now, if you want to go through that tedious math that I showed you, knock yourself out. But I'm not going to do it because it's senseless when you got the technology to do it. There. Well, I don't know why it won't. I give up. Okay, does everybody see what I did? Okay, now let's go to your handy dandy calculator. So you go to your handy dandy calculator. Of course, I don't have this set up right. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm not typing in all those. That's why I like to use a spreadsheet. Go to Stat, Edit, and I'm going to type in some numbers. Are y'all following along? Okay, because I hear a lot of talking. I don't know why. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so type in those same numbers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Y'all should be able to memorize that. Now, hit Stat. Go to Calculate. Go to Linear Regression. And, of course, it's going to read L1 and L2 by default. And you hit Calculate. And there it is. You should have 0.5x plus 0. Now, what else can I do? Well, go to, let me see, where is, I always have trouble finding it. Give me a second. Okay, go to Catalog, Second, Catalog, and go down to Diagnostic and turn the diagnostic on. Go down to the D's and turn diagnostic on and hit enter. Now go back and hit Stat, Calculate, Linear Regression, Calculate, and now you've got R. And that's what you need for my test. You need R. And that's how you turn your calculator to give you that information. Comprende? Any questions? So now, I don't know what you got on your Google, whatever. I don't know if it can do it. Maybe you can find a way to do it on there. I don't know. Or you can use your calculator. Okay? Now let's see how you put the regression line onto the graph. All right? So how do you do that? Well, first of all, you hit y is equal to, second stat plot, which is y is equal to, turn the plot on, and make sure you put it on, hit on, and go to the stat plot. Well, if I could get there. There we go. Okay, why didn't it? Why isn't it going?
You gotta just keep going.
That's what I did. There we go. Thank you. All right, hit that. And then go down, hit graph. And there's your plot. There's your points. Let me move this out of the way. I'm trying to, I can't, while I'm on transparency, I can't just. There. There's your, now if you want to see it close up, you hit mode and stat. Now, of course, I know most of y'all were on the calculator drill team in high school, so most of y'all probably, you know, name your calculator and all that stuff, but you can go to zoom and stat. I think it's 0, isn't it? 9. It's 9. There's your points. Now, how do you graph your line? Well, what is our line? Y is equal to, what is our line? Somebody, was it 0.5 x plus 0? Well, you don't have to put the plus 0, I know that. And hit graph. And it's not supposed to do that. Why isn't it doing that?
Maybe you hit zoom. Did you hit zoom?
Zoom, it should be right on the, okay, I've done something wrong. Hold on. Let me go back.
Hit zoom 3.
Found it.
Zoom 3.
Yeah, that's the R.
Okay, figure it out. You should be able, zoom 3. Okay, that's not right. Let me go back to stat. That's why I hate using the calculator. Okay, so go to stat, calculate, linear regression. Maybe it's because I picked funky numbers. Maybe that's it. Yeah, it's giving me 0.5 and 0. So 0.5, something's wrong with the data, or something's wrong somewhere. I don't know which one's wrong where, but
Points that you put, then it should be on the origin, not along the x-axis.
let me check my points. You talking about my points?
Yes, sir. Individual.
Edit.
I mean, I'm talking about like when you hit graph and those like squares.
Yeah.
They should be along.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. Let me do it again. So stat a plot. Well, first of all, I remember seeing, okay, there it is. There it is. I'm sorry. It's the first one. I didn't see it because it was covered up by the X that I had written there. Okay, now hit stat plot. So go to second or graph. There we go. I had the wrong thing picked. And as you can see, there's the line of regression. Now, it's a whole lot, I know some of y'all think that the calculator is a god, okay? But it's a whole lot easier to do it on an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know about your Google spreadsheet, but it's a whole lot easier because it does everything for you. Now, are you going to be using an Excel spreadsheet when you're in the real world? Yes. That's why, and there's very few classes that I really harp on, but if you're able to take CPT 170, take it. Okay? You know how they say that we walk around using only 10% of our brain? Well, we only know how to use 10% of Office. You need to take CPT 170. I know some people think they invented Office, but you need to take that class if you ever get a chance, especially if you have a good teacher. And I don't know, there's like 100 sections of it, but it teaches you how to use Publisher, how to use PowerPoint, how to use Excel, how to use word processor, but it not only shows you how to use it, it shows you how to use all the little bells and whistles that we don't ever use. So it's a good course. Make sure you take it if you need to take a course. All right. So that's how you do that. So let's do a nerd. Because we gotta do a lot, so you don't fuss. And like I say, I'm covering 2 sections. I'm covering 4.1 and 4.2. You'll be okay. All right? Just send questions. If you don't send questions, then I know you know it. Let's see if we can find another set of data. It's probably going to be in the next section. So let me go to the next homework. Hold on a second. 4.2 homework. That's where you're going to see all the math, if they even put it in here. Okay, there's one. So I'll put it in the Excel spreadsheet so you can see it. And let me blow it up for you. Now you can do it on your calculator. Did y'all find out how to do it on your Google? How do you do it on Google Sheets?
Okay, so you have to do, you put in the thing like that, and you make a chart, you click scatter, and you click customize, and you click series, then you click Trendline, then you scroll down and you click show RT.
So it's almost like Excel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, could you say that all again?
Okay, we'll do it. I wish I could pull it up here, but I can't. But I don't have Google Sheets. Only elite people have Google Sheets.
Oh my gosh. You found it?
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Do this. Go to it. Now do it by hand, do it on the calculator, or do it on your Google Sheets. Or you could just write yourself up as a disappointment and not even do it. You could do that. Yeah, that's the best option, because Bernie will take care of you. The burn! Can't help but like the guy.
He got murdered during the Democratic debate.
It's really sad, because on the Democratic side, the only ones that really should be running are the ones that have done been outcasted. I still think Kamala Harris would have been probably the best candidate.
She's not out of it. She's in the top 3.
No, she's not.
She was.
I don't know what news you listening to.
She was at the Democratic debate on
the first one. She was up, but now she's below Yang.
Oh, Yang has a good point.
Yeah, free. Everything's free. We're just gonna give everything away. Talk to Venezuela and Greece. Greece is now recovering from a socialistic society.
Yeah, a lot of things are messed up in Greece.
I tell you a good book to read. You ever read the book Atlas Shrugged?
No.
I've started it.
Read it. It's a good book. And read about who wrote it. That's what's even better. I don't read very much, but I read that book. All right. So I'm going to highlight it. Now, what do you do? Tell me what to do after Google Sheets. After you highlight it, Where do you go up here?
There's this little, if you go to insert
Yeah, just like I do. Insert.
chart,
Yep.
and then you click down on the charts thing and you go to
Like
scatter.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works about the same. Insert, we'll go over to charts, you pick the scatter plot, which is that one.
And then you click customize.
Okay, I just click on it and right click.
Yeah, no, we customize.
That what you can't do that on yours?
No.
Yeah, that's too simple.
This is my access thing.
It might take some of you a little bit of work, okay? Work. Yeah. And add trend line, you said that a while ago.
Yeah, customize series, trend line, then
You can right click.
Okay.
Series.
Okay, y'all play with it, okay? So it's linear, and go down and hit display equation and display R squared.
we haven't gotten to that one.
Oh wait, it's not showing on my phone.
Display equation.
Yeah, okay, I'll find it. Hey,
You'll find it.
Hold on, I'm trying to make this bigger. I don't know where my text is. There we go. Okay, that's what you should have. Whether it's on a calculator, by hand, or, well, by hand, you're going to be able to do roughly, but it's going to be too low because you're going to be using that first point. That first point's going to mess you up. So you're going to have to use technology on this one. And I do give you several on the test like this that I want you to use your Excel spreadsheet, Google Sheets, or your calculator. So those of you that say I'm anti-calculator, I'm not. I just think you should be able to spell mom backwards and make change.
Yeah, but ours is round though.
That's fine.
Yay.
But just remember to check it on your calculator so you can put the right answer in the word test, okay? Huh? I just showed you.
Yeah, but it was too much. And I couldn't.
Yeah, and you weren't listening. You were playing on the computer. I got good observation skills. I can tell a lot about what you're doing and not doing. Okay, who's got questions on this? And basically, that's 4.1 and 4.2. If you can do what we did today, then you can do 4.1 and 4.2. Now, is there a correlation here? Yes. How do I find what R is? Well, how do you undo a square? So raise 0.839 to the 1/2 power and tell me what you get. No yawning in class. You done hiccup, no yawning.
0.915.
Okay, 0.92. So is there a correlation here? Very strong correlation. It's negative. You don't have to put the negative. You know it's going down. But anyway, negative 0.92. So there's a strong correlation. Now, when you read the question, let's go back to the question. They may ask you, is there a causality? Is there causality? If I can ever find the dadgum question. Okay, it looks like this one, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And there appears to be a linear negative. And I'm not going to type that in. 3 and 3. I just want to see if they're going to ask. Is they're going to ask anything else?
No, you
You have to get it right to move on.
Okay, forget it. Okay, forget it.
Click it one more time.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Alright. Now you go.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
Oh, that was it. Okay, so they may ask you, but if they say there's a correlation, then chances are there's going to be causality because they're not going to give you. They may give you something like the Nicolas Cage /suicide. They may, but very unlikely they'll probably ask you something like gas mileage. Gas mileage, weight of vehicle, that's a test question and a homework question. So make sure you know that one. Okay, now we're going into a new unit. You've got other things to do, so I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a reprieve today and let y'all go early. Let me turn off the... Now, we could do one section a piece, you know, one section a day, and we could do that. Well, if I could turn off the recorder, it would help.